So right at a little bit after 5 p.m. today, officers received a call for shots fired in the area of the 3500 block of 14th Street. Upon arrival, there had been a 7-year-old male that had been shot, as well as an 18-year-old male that had been shot. This is very early in the investigation. We're trying to determine exactly what happened. We're talking to witnesses. We're looking at video. We're doing all those types of things just to find out exactly what happened at this scene. The 7-year-old has been pronounced deceased, and the 18-year-old was critically injured, but in stable condition. And so this all started a little bit after 5 p.m. today. Shots rang out in the 3500 block of 14th Street. Upon the officer's arrival, we located a 7-year-old that had been shot, as well as an 18-year-old that had been shot. We have recovered a pistol on the scene, and again, our homicide division has been requested up here, and we are working very diligently, as it is very early on trying to get to the bottom of what exactly happened.
What are the genders of the victims?
Both victims are male.
Were they found outside the home or inside? Can you give us some
This
context?
this occurred outside out in the open.
In the backyard, front yard?
It was all out in the street, is what we understand it to be.
Any word on suspects?
Yeah. So right now we're trying to develop suspects information that we could share, but right now that is very unclear. We're not getting the statements that we need to make a valid description about suspects at this point.
Are the two victims related to each other or connected to each other in somehow?
That is unknown right now, whether or not the victims are related in any way.
Do you know if there was a suspect car that fled the scene or suspects fled on foot?
Yeah, it's hard to determine right now. So the answer to that question is it's unknown whether the suspects were in vehicles or on foot. I do.
Clarify the ages of the people that it's 7 and 8?
That is correct. There's a 7-year-old young boy that's has been pronounced deceased, and then there's an 18-year-old that is critically injured but stable.
Were any weapons recovered at the scene?
There was one weapon recovered at the scene, and we're going to forensically check that out as well.
Chief, you've spent most of your day today speaking with reporters about all the violence that has been going on lately, talked a lot about drug-related crimes. I know it's very early in this investigation. Any perspective at all you can offer at this point on this?
Right, so far there's no reason to believe that this is drug-related. I know that I had mentioned that the past 6 homicides were drug-related. There's no indication at this point that this is a drug-related shooting. But again, certainly the deceased person, which is a 7-year-old little boy, we know that he wouldn't have, even if it had something to do with drugs, it certainly didn't have anything to do with him and drugs, and so he would certainly be an innocent victim. We're believing that there's information out there that people have. We're certainly encouraging people to contact the homicide division or Crime Stoppers. But hey, this has been a theme that's been talked about too often this summer, with young children getting shot in and around adults who were doing something that they had no business doing. But that being said, the unfortunate thing is that, hey, this little kid would have been starting school this week, and that's not going to happen.
Chief, we're not terribly far from Alderman Brandon Bosley's office, who has called for the National Guard to come out in this part of the city. Do you see any merit in that or increased patrols through here because of some of the violence you see?
Well, certainly the National Guard's mission is not law enforcement. And so when you talk about interviewing witnesses, trying to develop suspects, those types of things, it's really not the mission of the National Guard. And hey, the incident that prompted the alderman's call were people that wouldn't move out of the way from one another as they drove down the alley. And so certainly the National Guard does not deal with personal disputes that end in gun violence. And so hey, this interesting enough, this street has not been on the radar. To my knowledge, it is not a known violent area. But like I said, again, we're checking all that out now. We're, again, talking to as many people as we can, going through as much evidence as we can to try to get to the bottom of this. But my plea is to the public, hey, this little kid would have been starting school this week. He's not going to be able to do it, and it's not right. And people know information that they can share with us. So this is something that I believe is very solvable. But it can't be that well, I'm afraid to talk to the police, or I'm uncomfortable. Hey, so this type of thing can happen over and over again, and people not say anything. It's not right. We all know that. So I'm hoping that people will listen to my plea for information to be shared with the police. You can contact the homicide division. If you're uncomfortable with that, you can certainly contact Crime Stoppers. But this should be solvable. We should be able to take somebody into custody, but we're going to need information from the public.
A couple questions for you.
Last question. Last question.
I can sense you're getting emotional about this. As chief, having to come out to these scenes, it seems like time and again, we just had Eddie Hill, the 10-year-old. What is that like in your position, having to come out here and talk to media about this?
Well, the unfortunate thing again with the 10 and 11-year-olds, the 3 to 5-year-olds, and we know they're not doing anything wrong. And so if it's true that they can't play, then I think that it's time for the adults to rise to the occasion to help us make neighborhoods safe. We're willing to make the arrests. We're willing to do all of the work that's involved, but we can't do it without information. And so I don't believe this is okay with everybody. And so I'm hoping that this incident will be solved quickly, but I'm hoping to get information from the public that would help us solve it.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.